Hello, and welcome to the Freddie Mac Connect Advancing Underserved Community session. Audience members are in listen-only mode. The session is being recorded and will be available following the conference. To submit a question, please use the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. If you experience any technical issues, please use the Q&A box and someone will assist you. Lastly, you will find icons at the bottom of your screen with links to speaker bios and the presentation deck. With that, I will turn it over to Director of Single Family Equitable Housing, Tamela Thurman. Tamela, the floor is yours.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We're very excited to share some really good information with you. I am Tamela Thurman. I'm a director in the Equitable Housing Division at Freddie Mac. I have been with Freddie Mac for 7 years in an attempt to make home possible for all communities. The Equitable Housing Division was stood up approximately 2 years ago to do just that, and we are laser focused on getting it done. So thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to talking to you today. Stacy Walker is my partner in crime today, and I'll turn it over to her.
Thank you, Tamela. Hello, everyone. My name is Stacy Walker. I am the Director of Housing Outreach in the Housing Insights and Solutions Department. In my role, my team works with external stakeholders to create and implement initiatives and activities that will advocate for and prepare consumers for sustainable homeownership. These relationships are directly related to providing equitable and responsible lending opportunities to first-time homebuyers, low to moderate income, and underserved communities. Thank you for being here today. In today's session on advancing underserved communities, we will hear an overview of our of Freddie Mac's Equitable Housing Plan. We will look at an initiative in Baltimore and Chicago called Block by Block. We will speak about growing your business through partnerships, and we have helpful resources that we think can assist. And then we will wrap up today's session with questions. With that, I will turn it back over to Tamela.
Thank you, Stacy. You know, we talk about Freddie Mac's Equitable Housing Plan, which many of you have probably heard about. We were given a directive by the FHFA last year to really do a deep dive into what we can do as a GSC to increase equitable housing in the country. So we know that Freddie Mac's mission is to provide liquidity and stability and affordability in the housing market, but the Equitable Housing Plan goes deeper than that. We are looking to advance equity in housing for those traditionally underserved groups, Black Americans, Latino Americans, and Native Americans. And so we want to make sure that we have created a plan that is chock full of tactics to address just those issues. We know that the homeownership gap is very wide. It's as wide as it was in 1961 when the Fair Housing Act was signed. And so there needed to be more emphasis and more intentionality on making sure that we were doing as much as we could to close the homeownership gap. So as a teaser, later in the day, you're going to be treated to a session with Pam Perry, who is our Vice President of Equitable Housing, and Angie Weiland, who is a Senior Director in the department as well. And they will do a deep dive into all of the tactics and all of the successes that we have experienced this year after the implementation of the Equitable Housing Plan. But I will give you just a little overview of what we have looked to do. We're working with homeowners and consumers, and we're working with renters. We have a multifamily department that is also very laser focused on this as well. We have worked with external customers and external clients so that we can make things better for the consumer. And some of that entails getting rent payments reported to the credit report so that those renters can build credit. We are very focused on getting consumers mortgage ready so that they can enter the housing market. We know that those underserved communities have not had the opportunities that some other communities have had. And so all of the tactics in the Equitable Housing Plan are laser focused, as I said, on really understanding those barriers, removing those obstacles, and making fairness more pervasive in the lending process. And we're working closely with many other partners. We're working closely with our clients, our lenders, trade groups, and community and consumer groups to make sure that this happens. So we are definitely looking to get feedback from the market. We want your questions and we want to answer anything that we can because we are going to close this homeownership gap in the next, hopefully in the next 3 to 5 years. We're going to make significant progress on that and make sure that we lay the foundation for decades to come. So with that said, I'm going to pass it back over to Stacy to talk about some of the things that we are doing in the community that are pursuant to closing the homeownership gap and creating homeownership preservation. One of the wonderful initiatives that we've done here at Freddie Mac is called Block by Block. Stacy, can you tell us about it?
Absolutely. Thank you, Tamela. Block by block. So, what is block by block? Block by block is a neighborhood stabilization initiative that we've created and have implemented in the Baltimore market as well as Chicago. Block by Block is a program designed to revitalize neighborhoods that are at that tipping point of recovering from the economic crisis. So, let's take a look at the video of the Gunn family who reside in Baltimore.
My family came here in 1925. This house represented the beginning of what the Brooks family is now. We have poured all the money we can get our hands on to restore this house, but the appraisal values were so low, it was discouraging.
In order to really impact wealth in African American communities, we really have to look at homeownership. This is why Home Free USA chose Fayette Street for Block by Block from Freddie Mac. We began renovating one house, then on and on and on.
And then to see that somebody actually purchased a house 6 or 7 doors down, it was like, it was worth it for us to stay.
A house is something that we can pass down to our children and just make their lives better.
Thank you. That was the Gunn family out of Baltimore. The home that they've lived in for decades is on one of the blocks that we selected for our Block by Block initiative. You also saw Marcia Griffin of Home Free USA in the video. And Home Free USA, as one of our borrower help centers, is a key partner in this community because they've been involved in the community for many years. They have built trust in the community as well. That is one of the key components to a Block by Block neighborhood stabilization initiative, to build trust among the residents, any businesses in the communities, the churches, the schools, and Home Free USA has done just that in the blocks that we have selected for Baltimore. We try to keep Block by Block to a manageable size of 8 to 15 blocks because you don't want it to be so big that it's overwhelming, but then you don't want it to be so small that you can't really see the impact that you're creating. So we feel like an 8 to 15 block radius is good for a Block by Block initiative. As mentioned, we're currently doing Block by Block in Baltimore as well as Chicago. Chicago, we started in the Auburn Gresham neighborhood, and neighbors in adjoining neighborhoods saw what we were doing and really wanted to do the same thing. So now we have expanded the Chicago Block by Block into 2 neighborhoods with block captains and active community support. Engagement of lenders and public and private partners is also key for a Block by Block initiative, along with marketing and rebranding. We want people to be excited about the work that's going on in their community. We want them to be excited to either move back to the community, to stay in the community, or for new people to come, new homeowners to come and live in the communities as well. So we have branded and created a marketing strategy for Block by Block that has definitely incited buzz in these communities. Now, when you talk about advancing underserved communities, partnerships are definitely key. We have long established partnership with many, many national and minority-focused organizations, such as National Urban League, Unidos US, National Capacity, as well as their affiliates. We've also formed relationships with several historically Black colleges and universities, or HBCUs. We're going to take a look at a video with Nicholas Whiteside, who is an HBCU graduate of Fisk University. Let's look at the video.
I grew up watching the people here genuinely struggle a little bit. Going to school with some of the kids who would talk about how their parents weren't able to pay the bills. So staying in the Memphis community was important to me because there are a lot of people who genuinely need someone to support them. My name is Nicholas Whiteside. I'm 22 years old and I was born and raised here in Memphis, Tennessee. There are a number of housing challenges in the community. It all starts with just a lack of knowledge.
It's showtime. It's important the underserved community understands the types of resources that are available to them because it all goes hand in hand with the ability to afford a home.
Freddie Mac started this program called Credit Smart. I was able to get my down payment and closing costs certificate through their Homebuyer U program. And so for $0, I was able to do something that helped me save $12,000 on my house when I purchased it. You don't need all the resources in the world. You can come straight out of college, you can be 22 years old, and you can buy a house and say, hey, we're gonna get it going.
The mission of making home possible is so important because everyone has a right to have a roof over their head and a place where they can live with dignity and with pride.
It's not necessarily saying I have a lot of money on reserve. It's the freedom, not worrying about my bills, not worrying about where I'm going to lay my head. I'm not just building this wealth, I'm sustaining it.
I'm hopeful that with our purpose and mission in affordable housing, through our partnerships, that we can reach individuals and that they will become homeowners, and be proud of it.
Home is possible, guys. That's all I gotta say.
I love that video. That's awesome. Nicholas, as a freshman at Fisk, started working with Home Free USA, one of our partners, on an initiative called Center for Financial Advancement. In this initiative, we and other industry leaders, we go to HBCUs and we start teaching them about financial responsibility. We teach them leadership skills, resume writing, and we also teach them about home ownership. So Nicholas, as a freshman, knew that one day he did want to purchase a home, and within months of graduating from Fisk, he purchased his first home as shown in the video today. And when you think about working with HBCUs, it's not only the students, it's their families, it's the faculty and staff, and it's also the surrounding communities. Many HBCUs are located in areas, communities of color. And so when we go to the HBCUs, this is a prime opportunity for us to do some community engagement, to teach the community about homeownership, about financial capability, about different mortgage products and the players in the mortgage game. So forming relationships with HBCUs is key in the success of advancing underserved communities. We also work with faith-based organizations. We talk about low-income individuals a lot when you talk about underserved communities, but there's also the missing middle or middle-income people. Middle-income people can also benefit from financial capability, from home ownership education, being educated on the different mortgage products out there and how you obtain a mortgage. So we work with churches, and we also work with Black Greek organizations, fraternities, and sororities to educate them on these topics as well. One of the key components that we teach all the time is our Credit Smart financial capability and homeownership education courses. I will speak about that in a moment, but those are key education opportunities in these communities. Now I'll turn it back over to Tamela.
Thank you, Stacy. Many of you are aware of our Duty to Serve initiative, which we have been doing for several years. But one of the things that we have been doing a lot this year is really expanding the opportunity for homeowners to purchase manufactured housing under our Duty to Serve initiative. Manufactured housing is an affordable way to enter the housing market. And we know that for underserved communities, affordability is definitely something that has to be considered. So our Duty to Serve team, they have been working diligently with external stakeholders to make these homes more available. Also talking about our HFAs and some of our CDFIs, Freddie Mac has a very good relationship with many housing finance agencies across the country. These housing finance agencies are key in providing down payment assistance to many underserved families. And the penetration of Black and Latino families is very high. So we partner with them to make sure from an equitable housing standpoint that there are resources available to help people get into homes, because down payment assistance has been identified as one of the largest barriers to home ownership. Some of the other relationships that we've developed is with the MBA. MBA has a convergence program that they're running right now in Memphis as well as in Columbus, Ohio. And so we've partnered with them to provide resources and data and information to help get more people in those communities into homes. One of the things that we found during the pandemic, when interest rates were very, very low, is that Black families and Latino families did not take advantage of that opportunity as the larger populations did. And so what that meant was that those families were leaving money on the table. They were not taking advantage of those low interest rates. So we partnered with the MBA in an information session so that we could get information to consumers, to realtors, to loan officers, get resources to them so that they could communicate to their constituency that there is a benefit in refinancing. And so we continue that partnership so that we can message to the industry and so that we can message to homeowners and consumers that there are opportunities that they need to take advantage of. And that partnership really helped to convey that. We're also involved with Project Reach with the OCC. Project Reach is an exceptional program, an initiative that's designed to bring industry stakeholders together to solve some of the problems that are inherent for Black and Latino families. One of the things that we have done at Freddie Mac is really embrace our ability to provide thought leadership through research, data, and analysis. Many of you are familiar with some of the appraisal research that Freddie Mac did last year, and it's published on our website. Please take some time to look at that, because what we discovered was that there are some gaps in appraisal valuations in underserved communities, in majority Black and majority Latino communities. And so what we have done with Project Reach is to work on creating best practices for lenders where there is a dispute for value, as well as creating best practices for reconsideration of value. In those processes, we have had consumers and homeowners feel like they have been left out. So our work with Project Reach is to help bring clarity and accountability to the appraisal process. So we're very excited about the work that we're doing there. And we've also partnered with the Appraisal Diversity Institute. The Appraisal Diversity Institute is another area where we're bringing together stakeholders all over the industry to really understand how we can improve outcomes for Black and Latino families when it comes to appraisal valuation. And one of the things that the Appraisal Diversity Institute has done and done very well is to conduct educational seminars around the country to help bring more Black and Latino representation into the appraisal industry. And by doing that, they are providing full scholarships for education, all of the payment for their books. And then at the end of the program, they are being paired with appraisers so that they can do their apprenticeship and actually begin in the appraisal industry. We understand that representation matters. And it's very important to Freddie Mac to be a part of that so that we don't have any appraisal gaps and that we don't have bias showing up in the evaluation process. So we're very excited about those particular community engagement and partnerships. They are key to breaking down the barriers to creating sustainable home ownership. So I'm going to hand it back over to Stacy and talk a little bit more about some of the excellent resources, educational resources that we have created here at Freddie Mac.
Excellent. Thank you, Tamela. As far as the helpful resources go, I spoke about Credit Smart a moment ago, and that is definitely a helpful resource in the market. What is Credit Smart? It's a free, let me repeat, free suite of financial capability and homeownership education resources for both consumers and practitioners. Did I say it was free? It is absolutely free of charge. There are two main sides to Credit Smart. The first, Credit Smart Essentials, is our financial capability course. And this course is for those who want to focus on their financial goals, learn more about credit and money management. We have created Credit Smart Essentials and created them in learning paths so that people can select the learning path that they feel best suits their circumstance at the time, or people can feel free to go through the entire curriculum. It is a very robust curriculum. We have made the curriculum into 60 plus micro modules so that people can consume at their own pace. And it's snackable. We like to say it's snackable, and it's just enough, and people can leave and log back in and pick up where they left off. There is an audio function for those who'd like to follow along. Credit Smart Essentials is mobile first, and it also has a lot of interactive tools, vision boards, and a lot of downloadable resources for anyone to access. Credit Smart Essentials is also ADA compliant. We are currently working to get the Essentials course translated into Spanish, and we look to have that complete by Q1 of 2023. The other side of Credit Smart is Credit Smart Homebuyer U, and that is our homebuyer education course. It was developed for first-time homebuyers, and it focuses on key learning principles around credit, money management, and getting a mortgage, as well as the home buying process and preserving home ownership. Credit Smart Homebuyer U is currently available in both English and Spanish. Again, people can create a login, they can log in, go through 2 or 3 of the modules, log out, and when they come back in, they can pick right up where they left off. Credit Smart Homebuyer U is also free of charge. Credit Smart Homebuyer U has audio functionality just like Essentials, and it also has videos, infographics, worksheets, as well as calculators. Credit Smart Homebuyer U is available on multiple devices, including mobile phone and tablet, as well as a desktop. There are knowledge checks throughout the course, and then at the end, there is a final quiz for consumers to complete. Now, once the consumer completes the entire course, they are offered a certificate of completion, which is eligible as a homebuyer education certificate of completion, and it also indicates that the consumer is eligible for Freddie Mac's low down payment mortgage products. Many of our lenders do refer their customers directly to Credit Smart Homebuyer U since it is free of charge, and they accept our Credit Smart certificate of completion once their client completes the course. On the slide, you will see access to our Credit Smart and our Credit Smart Homebuyer U. I also want to mention that we do have Credit Smart multilingual. We have Asian languages of Chinese, Korean, Vietnamese that are available, as well as a military readiness module that is, those can be found on these links as well. Another helpful resource for you is our masterclass on wealth building. This is something that we started this year as a result of many consumers and our partners asking for content on wealth building, wealth creation, estate planning, and things like that. So wealth building for Freddie Mac is more than just job-based income. We're helping many people of all incomes, especially in communities of color, learn that building wealth goes far beyond earning a paycheck. It can include savings, investments, and any income generating asset. According to CNBC, $68 trillion, more than $68 trillion, will be passed from the baby boomer generation to their heirs. More than $68 trillion. This may be in the form of real estate, investments, or financial education to carry forward. This year, we created the Wealth Building Masterclass and have expanded our workshops to include estate planning professionals. to help consumers learn how to accumulate wealth, preserve wealth, and protect to transfer wealth. Now, what do I mean by that? Accumulating wealth is capital. It's having enough money to cover your basic needs and just a little bit left over to start savings. Preserving wealth requires time and investments, and so we talk about that as well. Protecting to transfer wealth, legacy planning. Keeping wealth in the family definitely requires a plan. The wealth building masterclass that we've created includes a customizable deck with videos, speaker notes, as well as participant exercises. It can be done as individual modules or it can be done in a three-part series. Again, accumulate, preserve, and protect to transfer. We created our wealth building deck to assist our nonprofit housing counseling agencies add to their robust list of services, the services that they currently provide. And this definitely adds a bit more material for them to do so. We do, however, offer this with our lender partners and other partners as well. The goal is to connect wealth vehicles like homeownership to estate planning to help close that wealth gap. We're doing this with churches, HBCUs, Greek organizations, and many, many of our partners. And with that, I'd like to turn it over for questions.
Thank you so much, Stacy. Before we get to the questions, I do want to reinforce something that you said about the estate planning. During the pandemic, Black and Brown families were impacted more intensely during that time. And many of those families died intestate. And so the wealth that would have been transferred to their heirs that Stacy was talking about went through probate. There was lots of trouble trying to figure out who owned what because someone did not engage in the estate planning process. It is critical to make sure that we are communicating out that estate planning is an essential part of homeownership and wealth building. We found out that only 26% of Black families have a will that covers that information. So it is so critical that we understand and communicate that this is an important part of our education when we go to the industry. So with that, it's time to take some questions. And we are so glad that you joined us. We hope that you have some questions for us. Kiara, what do we have in queue?
Thanks, Tamela. This is the first question that was submitted. What is the best way to engage with the community organizations that have partnered with Freddie Mac?
I can take a first pass at that. Well, you can ask us. You can call your account executive. You can call your lender engagement representative, and they can also get in touch with our team to identify based on your markets what entity may be most helpful to you. If you are looking for a HUD-approved housing counseling agency, you can go to the HUD website at hud.gov, or you can go to Freddie Mac's consumer pages, My Home, and look at some of the relationships that we have, including our 15 borrower help centers across the country.
And we also have a lot of relationships with our realty trade organizations and our loan origination organizations like the National Association of Mortgage Brokers. We really value these relationships. And if you'd like to get involved with us, as Stacy said, we work through our lenders and we work through some of those organizations to reach consumers and potential home buyers.
Thank you, ladies. Our next question submitted: with the Block by Block program, how do you select the city or neighborhood to partner with?
Great question. Thank you. We really look at our community partners to tell us what's going on locally and on the ground. We do have a criteria. I mentioned that we look for neighborhoods that are at that tipping point of revitalization and of recovery. And we look for communities that have active community partner engagement already. We want to make sure that we are engaged with the community, with the businesses, with the churches, and with the residents so that they don't feel like we're coming to take something away, but we're bringing our name and our expertise to add value to their community and to bring it back into the as it once was before the financial crisis. So we do have a criteria that we look for, and we really heavily lean on our community partners to help us identify communities across the country.
Thanks, Stacy. Our next question: how would lenders engage with the Freddie Mac on on Credit Smart?
Oh, that's great. Thank you. Give us a call. You can email me. I believe my email information was in the deck. You can go to my home, which also connects to Freddie Mac. Many of our lenders they choose to link directly to Credit Smart Home Buyer U in particular because their clients can get that certificate of completion for our mortgage products. So if that is something you'd like to do, you can reach out to your account executive, or you can reach out to your lender engagement executive, or you may reach out directly to me.
Thanks, Stacy. I think our next question is for Tamela. How does single family connect with multifamily in regards to equitable housing efforts?
Thank you. That's a great question. So, the Equitable Housing Finance Plan covers tactics for both single family and multifamily. It's very important that we create resources for those who need to get mortgage ready. And we use that term a lot around here at Freddie Mac, getting mortgage ready. And what does that mean? So, on the multifamily side, our clients are large apartment complexes. And so we're encouraging them to report rent payments. We're encouraging them to provide that information so that those consumers can get mortgage ready and build their credit profile. From there, we're also using different types of cash flow underwriting and understanding what's happening on bank statements so that we qualify a wider range of potential home buyers so that we can create more home buyers in a sustainable way.
Thank you, Tamela. I think this is our last question here. How important is it to involve the community in an effort like Block by Block?
Oh, yes. Great question. It is incredibly important to do that. If you don't have community support, you will probably not have a successful neighborhood stabilization effort. So it's critically important to involve all parties of the community, once again, including the residents, the businesses, the schools, the churches, and any other key stakeholder in that community is critically important to engage the entire community.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Stacy. With that, that is all the questions we have today. I'll pass it off to you guys to do the closing.
Great. Thank you, Kara. On behalf of Tamela and myself, we would like to thank you for joining us to hear about our efforts in the community. Also, we would like to invite you to visit the Credit Smart Lounge and join the conversation to learn more about our suite of educational resources. Again, thank you for your time and your participation.
I would like to thank all of our presenters again for joining us today. If we did not get to your question, we will connect with you following the conference. Your opinion is important. Please take a few moments to take our brief survey so that we can continue to bring you timely and relevant content. You can also log in anytime after the conference to play back any session presented today. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the conference.